Hi, welcome back to Faith and Conviction, and I am your host, Ray Harris. I want to welcome you to this week's Torah portion. We're going to be covering Torah portion 27, and that comes from the book of Leviticus. Now in Hebrew, its name is Vayikra. It means he called. And this week's Torah portion is Tazria, and it means she conceives. Now this is found in Leviticus chapter 12, verse 1, down through chapter 13, verse 59. Now our key word comes from verse 2 in chapter 12, and it's the 8th word when it comes in the Hebrew. Now the Strong's number that goes with that key word is H2232, and it connects to this Hebrew root word called zara. Now Brown Driver Briggs tells us that it means to sow, to scatter seed, to become pregnant. And we know that in the horticultural world, the plant has a seed and it goes forth and brings forth a new plant. But in Esword, the King James Concordance has this Hebrew word in there about 56 times in the Hebrew Old Testament. It's translated as sown, sowed, a bunch of different types for sow, but also sower, and that's a noun, and over in Isaiah 55:10 and in Jeremiah 50 verse 16. Now when we come back over here to our key verse, which is Leviticus 12 verse 2, the King James has it this way: Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived seed. And that's that key word that sits behind there. Now the Complete Jewish Bible says, tell the people of Israel if a woman conceives. And in a Jewish Publication Society, it says, speak to the Israelite people thus: when a woman at childbirth. Now the interesting thing is that, with the JPS, is it has a little footnote on the word childbirth, and it says down there in the bottom of it, at the footnote, it says it literally means brings forth seed. So we know things about the biology and how things work, and then she has the child. Now what's interesting is the way in which it works in the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Old Testament. What we have here, let me try to read this real quick, is La leison tois huios Israel kai eres pros autus legon gune etis aeon. And here's the word that we're looking for. It's sperma tiste, and that's a verb. Now that is Greek word by Strong's number G4690.1. And the reason it's a .1 is the Apostolic Bible Polyglot puts a point on it. And because the Greek word G4690 is in the New Testament, but the New Testament only has nouns. It doesn't have this verb. So it has to have, the Apostolic Bible Polyglot does an association to help us out here a little bit. So the Apostolic Bible Polyglot translates the Greek Old Testament this way: Speak to the sons of Israel, and you shall say to them, saying, a woman, whoever should conceive. So all these translations have this idea about her being able to become impregnated and have a child. Now what's interesting is when we go over into the New Testament, there is a passage that can connect us from the New Testament through the Greek of the Old back to Moses. I think you might find this kind of interesting. In Matthew 22, Jesus is asked a question by the Sadducees, and they come up to him and say, in chapter 22, verse 24, Master, Moses said, if a man die having no children, now that's a different Greek number, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up seed. That's G4690. That's the same noun-verb group that translated this Hebrew word. So if he raise up seed unto his brother, in verse 25 it says this: Now there were with us 7 brethren at the first, when he had married a wife deceased and having no issue. And that word, the Greek word behind issue, is G4690. That's the same Greek word that is used to translate over here in the Hebrew Old Testament. So he had no issue, left his wife unto his brother. So what we're seeing is this ability to connect from the Greek of the New Testament by the Greek of the Old Testament over here and see these beautiful words that are sitting over here in the Hebrew. Why do we do this? To see that God uses the languages of the Hebrew, the Greek of the translation of the Old Testament, and the Greek of the New Testament to convey meaning, to convey ideas. It's just talking about pregnancy. We know this, but still, this is a neat a neat way in which we can see the words work together and why Hebrew and Greek and English help each other. So, I hope it's been a blessing to you, and until next time, continue to seek God, know Messiah, and find hope.